Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you to our witnesses for joining us today. I just want to share a few facts because my questions are going to be around the salary and how that salary was derived. So here are some facts. Chief of the Defense Staff salary equals somewhere between $279,000 and $329,000. The Secretary of State Defense procurement salary is $284,500. The Defense Minister's salary is equal to $309,700. The Prime Minister of Canada's salary is equal to $419,600. And yet the CEO of the Defense Investment Agency, Mr. Goldman, who is a former Goldman Sachs colleague of the Prime Minister's, will have a salary of $679,000 plus bonuses. And when I look at the chart for the bonuses, it looks like he's going to get a maximum of 33% of a performance bonus, which would equal over $900,000. Can you tell us why he is being paid so much per year? And can you tell us why he's being paid so much, as this exceeds the compensation set for Crown Corporation CEOs as posted on the government's website?
Good question.
Mr. Chair, I'm from the Privy Council office, as I mentioned earlier, and I'm the Deputy Secretary responsible for appointments. So I will do my best to respond to your question. So in terms of the salaries that you quote, that's absolutely correct. For Mr. Goldman, it is not uncommon for us to bring people in from outside of the Government of Canada. It's a decision, the discretion rests with the Governor and Council to make decisions around the kind of leadership that's required for important organizations such as this one. We are responsible for working within the frameworks that the Governor and Council set to negotiate compensation for folks when they come in from outside. And as I mentioned, as you allude to, there is a framework in place, and we work within that framework, and the salary is consistent with the framework. As you suggest, there is also not only compensation, but performance pay associated with that. It's not a given that people are going to receive the top end, as you suggest. And I think, to my colleagues at Treasury Board's point, it will depend on the ability to achieve the objectives that the Minister and ultimately the Prime Minister have set for the CEO.
Thank you. It's my understanding that according to the Order in Council, this appointment was made on the recommendation of the Prime Minister. Can you tell me, were there any other candidates considered for this position?
Mr. Chair, when we learned that the government was interested in setting up this organization, I did provide some ideas to my boss. The clerk of the Privy Council at the time was John Hannaford. So I couldn't get into the specifics of the individuals, obviously, to respect their privacy. But as far as I'm concerned, and from what I know from where I sit, we did have some names that we did suggest from our end.
Did your ideas include Mr. Goldman?
I wouldn't be in a position to give that kind of level of detail around personal information about the individual candidates that we suggested.
I'm just asking about Mr. Goldman. He was obviously the successful applicant, if in fact he was on a list. So, okay, thank you for that. In Budget 2025, there will be funding allocated to both PSPC to establish the DIA and set aside funding for the agency starting in 2026. And if we look at the budget that was tabled yesterday, if we look on page 199, it states that a new defense investment agency for the year 2026-2027 will receive $13 million in that year. Is that correct?
That would be...
I don't have the exact reference in front of me. I recall that it was in the order of $38 million over a period of 4 or 5 years. So yes, that would be to sustain the operations. I think the organization now is being sustained with some internal funding from PSPC.
So I guess my last comment will be, $13 million 2026-27, possibly a salary and bonus of almost $1 million. So the CEO is taking 1/13 of the budget for the year 2026-2027. Thanks.
Thanks.
Yes, I hope you don't mind. I'm going to start a little simple. So the old system, if I understand correctly, works like this. So you've got the Department of National Defense that decides what's needed. You've got the Procurement Canada that handles the contracting. Innovation and Science adds the gadgets and the tech requirements, and the Treasury Board signs off on the money. So there's 4 departments involved in every major defense purchase, correct?
At a minimum, yes.
Okay. And each one of them has their own mandate, approval process, and risk team, correct?
Yes, I think that's
Okay. And you agree then that the system just wasn't really working, caused massive delays and cost overruns?
I think there are a number of reasons for cost overruns, but yes.
Okay. So the Prime Minister's solution was to add a 5th organization, the new Defense Investment Agency, to fix that process. Is that correct?
I would say that what's important is the way that this organization takes on some of the roles and responsibilities that had previously been undertaken by the ones that you mentioned.
Okay, so just so we're clear, none of the original 4 departments are being removed or losing their involvement in the process, correct?
I think that remains to be seen. This is early days for this organization. Certainly, some of the capacities within those organizations
They're still
may
there.
step back.
They're still
the
there.
organizations are still there, yes.
So we still have National Defense, Procurement, Innovation and Science, and the Treasury Board, plus the new agency who's sitting on top of them doing the big buys, over $100 million, is what I understand.
Yes, again,
Okay.
there may be organizations within those departments that will be stood down or have smaller roles going forward, but they would still have a role, yes.
Okay, so and the person that was chosen to lead it, and for what seems to be close to a salary of $1 million, we shall see, if you include the bonuses, Mr. Guzman, comes from banking. So a career in finance, wealth management, capital markets, no background in government procurement, no military experience, from, as far as I could see, not even a cadet. Was he actually, Madam Donnellan, was he actually on your list?
Mr. Chair, as I mentioned earlier, and in the Prime Minister's announcement, Mr. Guzman was chosen, as you referred to, because he has decades of experience in investment in finance, capital allocation, project execution.
I was just asking if he was on your list. I wonder, Mr. Chair, if you might ask. It's a fairly direct question, if you might help me out with.
Should be able to provide an answer?
I'm not in a position to speak to who specifically were on the various lists out of respect
no, I'm just
for
asking
personal
specifically
information.
about Mr. Guzman, and I'm just wondering, like, did the PM go over your head if he wasn't on your list?
Chair, a point of order.
Yeah.
The witness has answered this question 3 times now.
Okay.
So, she has answered. She's given you an
colleagues,
answer.
Let Mr. Gasparo finish his point of order, and then I will.
She's given an answer 3 times on this very exact question, and the member is borderline badgering the witness. So you're going to spend the rest of the time asking the same question.
Okay.
She's giving you the answer.
Okay, Mr. Gasparo, thanks. I hit the point of order. I don't think it's badgering. I do believe it's a very straightforward question, and I think Ms. I'm sorry, I can never pronounce your name right.
McClymont. It's not as bad
I
as
apologize.
it looks.
I think
The Y is off-putting.
I think it's a straightforward question. I think we'd appreciate a straightforward answer to this. I don't think it's betraying any confidentiality.
Simple answer would be, obviously, he was a name that was under consideration because he was asked to take on the role. That would be the best that I could answer for you.
So the reform isn't being led by someone who's ever bought a sub or F-35 jet. It's being led by someone who's managed portfolios and investment funds. So how much time do I have left?
Just over a minute and a half.
Okay, so if we look at what appears to be happening here, we have a massive new spending envelope of more than $80 billion over 5 years, centralized control, so one agency managing the big purchases, private sector banker in charge whose expertise is moving capital, not delivering hardware, and language straight out of an industrial strategy, building domestic supply chains, leveraging innovation. It sounds like the government's building an investment portfolio, not a stronger military. So the idea of building a military-industrial complex that's market-driven seems quite un-Canadian. And I'm just wondering, should we be concerned with Mr. Guzman at the helm, that our defense dollars are going to be leveraged for market outcomes rather than military ones?
Mr. Chair, I would reference again the Prime Minister's news release where he was quite clear that he was of the view, and that is the Governor and Council's prerogative to pick the people they feel are best suited for the roles of these high priority Governor and Council positions, that he had the expertise, as you alluded to from the member, capital allocation, projects execution, and large financial projects. I would just go back to some of the comments that my Treasury Board colleagues made. Oftentimes when we're looking for great people to lead these organizations, we look for specific background that we in the government may not have. We look for leadership acumen, and we know that we've got skill sets within the government that can support the member, or support the individual in terms of succeeding. Thank you.
Thanks, our time.
So one of the challenges, I come from Windsor, and we have an affordability crisis brewing for quite a while now. How does creating this new agency with a high-paid executive reflect the government's priorities? As we heard from Ms. Block, 1/13 of the salary is going to be going to him off the budget. And what's the expected return on investment? And will this agency commit to publishing clear results like procurement savings, faster delivery timelines, support for the industry, and will they also be involved in the acquisition of the F-35?
I can't speak to specific procurements that it will undertake. That would be a question to ask the agency and the CEO. In terms of whether it will be required to report on its results, yes, it will be, just as all departments are, required to report on its results through departmental reporting.
So is there any kind of governance or oversight framework that the agency has been given, or is there some establishment of those frameworks that you could share with us?
I think some of the documentation that was already requested would speak to some of what you're looking for. In terms of governance frameworks, I think I can only speak to kind of the Treasury Board part of what exists as far as governance and oversight. But I can say that as it relates to defense procurement, there is there are several layers of governance and oversight already in place, and the agency will continue to be subject to that oversight.
Since you hold the purse strings and hold the wallet, what can you provide us a breakdown of the budget and the staffing plan? Because you're going to be citing a check for these folks, I'm assuming.
Well, the funding was just announced in the budget, and so there will be a proposal that will need to come to the board to access that funding, and more details will be
Can you
provided.
give us that breakdown?
I don't have that information now.
Okay, so who would?
It will be for the agency to provide to the Treasury Board when they're ready to come and access that funding.
You sign the check, you can't give us that information?
I'm speaking only about the funding that was just announced in the budget.
Okay.
Thank you. That is our time.